What the hell was that?
Strong and brave, here to save the American way.
I may not mention it often, but Captain America is kind of a huge deal for me. I grew up a freakishly scrawny kid. Short too. I was 5'5" and 70 pounds in high school. But even as a little kid who looked like he was dying, I was reading like a maniac. And the greatest gift 7-year-old me ever got was the Marvel Comics Encyclopedia. It gave me decades of info in a super condensed form. And believe me, I scoured every Captain America related character's bio 100 times over, especially Patriots. I didn't care that he was black, I cared that he had my name and was on his way to being just like Captain America. Then, when I was in my late teens, I grew like a weed. I shot over a foot taller and gained over 100 pounds. I just felt healthier. It's hard to explain, I don't know. But in those weird and painful months, it did feel like some kind of origin story. All this to say, I feel a sort of kinship with this character. And God, that's why Captain America 4 hurts so damn much. It's one thing to have bad effects, it's another to have an aimless story, it's bizarre to have a stealth sequel for Eternals, and it's insane that despite a year's worth of reshoots, they never once removed a character tied directly to one of the greatest forces for evil in our real world today. But it's the absolute last straw when you have Captain Goddamn America be the champion of the status quo. This movie does not feature a real Captain America, and no, I don't mean that in the obnoxious racist way of Sam Wilson not being Cap. Comic Sam Wilson is absolutely Captain America. The Sam Wilson we saw in the Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show is also Captain America. But in this movie, he's a lifeless puppet. With how much this movie polishes the boots of the US government, which is written here as a comically powerful, exceptionally corrupt organization that is still portrayed as good and honest at the end of the day, I'm shocked it wasn't written by Ultimate Captain America. This movie straight up condones pinning terror attacks on potentially valuable criminal assets in order to incarcerate them for the benefit of career politicians. It also features a near all-out naval war with Japan over a natural resource that should have been in these movies over a decade ago. Oh sure, Sam Wilson has issues with these plot points, but he essentially just frowns and then moves on. He doesn't confront them in any substantial way when confronting issues in the US is Captain America's entire thing. What a waste of time. Despite what Twitter users and people being overly smug at house parties say, Captain America is not a mindless tool for the US government who rolls over and does whatever he's told. Cap, in his best comics, is someone who openly challenges and defies the status quo of the US in an effort to better it for everyone. It's why his best stories are political thrillers, specifically about the push and pull between a country and a dude who wears their flag on his goddamn body. He is not a mascot, he's someone who leads and demands that America move forward with him. He's not the figurehead of America, he's the captain. That's why he has the shield. He's not an offensive force, he's a protective leader who takes the heat so America can advance. A Captain America comic showed the president in the Oval Office shooting himself in the head in 1973. That is not a character you should be playing it safe with. The Superhero Registration Act was meant to directly mirror the Patriot Act, and Steve was the de facto leader of the group opposing it. Whenever any of the Captain Americas hang up their shield, it is in direct protest of a cruel injustice, as if the very spirit of the American people itself is on strike, and if it hits you hard. Whether it's the corporatization of America, police brutality, or his own personal freedom, when Captain America throws in the towel, it is a moment that sticks in the history of comic books. That's why to see Captain America succeed is kind of to see all of us succeed. To see him stand up against a tyrant feels like our own victory just as much as it is his. One other thing that's vital for a good Captain America story is the kind of tyrants he's facing. Thunderbolt Ross is not in any way a Captain America villain. Now yes, they've fought, but that's like saying Sabretooth is a Daredevil villain. Ross is a Hulk villain. Everybody knows this. But Disney kind of ran into a wall when it came to any other Captain America villain to use because they're so goddamn spineless and safe. It's kinda hard to use any of the actually good Captain America villains. Red Skull is obviously the greatest, a perfect man who was only picked for the procedure because Hitler thought he was pathetic. Seriously, homie was crying and seething, and the dictator said, yeah, you'll do, which is just a perfect takedown of fascism. It's insecurity and emasculation disguising itself as some powerful force. But you killed him off, so who else we got? Well, there's MODOK, but you fucked him up, because why make a terrifying supercomputer body horror villain when you can turn the most forgettable Ant-Man villain into a joke? Hell, you could even do a storyline about Nuke and his paranoid and violent patriotism leading to him battling Sam because he's been told to see Sam as the other. But I mean, really, there are no Cap villains you could have starring in a story about something infiltrating the president's inner circle in a vicious mind control plot. Except, you know, the fucking Secret Society, who already did that in the comics and were the original villains of this movie, or the evil hypnotist that is in like 200 Captain America comics. The Serpent Society is such an interesting and bizarre organization of villains that you could write an entire movie just about Sam fighting each member. And I know you originally wanted to do that because this movie's first title was Captain America: The Serpent Society, and you cast a ton of crazy fucking talented entertainers to play them. But for some reason in the final cut of this travesty, they're like the D-rank villains, bottom of the totem pole. The Japanese Navy represents a bigger threat in this movie than the Serpent Society does. Here, I got a good fucking Captain America movie for you, for free. Bring back Chris Evans, but as William Burnside, the Grand Director. The villainous and racist Captain America of the 1950s as the main antagonist. But don't tell anyone before the movie is out. Act entirely, from top to bottom, like you're actually bringing back Steve Rogers. Imagine the drama from both Sam and the audience themselves, dealing with the initial shock of a returning Steve Rogers, and then the anger and righteous motivation to take down a villain who's masquerading as him. Instant drama, instant buzz, instant press, an instantly compelling story, a fun dynamic for two actors who've known each other for years, an actually daring message about long-dormant racism and hatred coming back to Captain America disguised as genuine patriotism, and it's an actual Captain America villain. You can have that one. Fuck it. Make it Cap 5. I'd watch that in a heartbeat. You reshot this movie 6 times and it cost the GDP of a modestly sized country, but you couldn't find room for the Captain America villains, or the Captain America supporting cast, or a story built around Captain America? But don't worry everyone, they still kept all the Incredible Hulk 2008 references and the character that the Hulk yells at in the comics for murdering children. Does Zionism just rot your body from the inside out? I know she had cancer, but why does it look like she still has it in this movie? This is the book adaptation equivalent of having a perfectly good gingerbread house kit to work from, but you somehow wound up leaving out the decorations and replacing the frosting with pure concrete. Like, yeah, it's structurally solid. This has no life to it. It is empty. Remember the satirical war bond advertising we saw in the first Avenger, where Cap is acting out some clunky, overly scripted short that delivers a simple and inauthentic conclusion? That's this movie. Both the comics and this series have moved past this kind of storytelling and blatant boot polishing. Captain America 2 featured Cap trying to stop a US career politician from essentially committing a Minority Report via drone strikes. Captain America 3 has this movie's final threat utilizing careful and precise political maneuvering to essentially rob the Avengers of their autonomy as a team, leading to infighting and friendship-shattering secrets, all carefully orchestrated by a guy traumatized from the events of Avengers 2. Falcon and the Winter Soldier deals with the concept of what a man groomed to be Captain America by a militaristic government would do when he realizes he's been abandoned by that same institution. It also deals with fallout from and allusions to the Tuskegee experiments, examples of terrorism in the name of unifying the world in a cooperative crisis mindset, and racial tensions from conservatives when a black man is commended and trusted with the responsibilities or stations of public grandeur on a national scale. And honestly, it's in the top 3 Marvel shows for me. Captain America 4, on the other hand, states that you should trust that the president always has good intentions, and that if he falsely imprisoned a man and forced him into drug production to help keep his own elderly ass alive, then we still have to reach across the aisle and help him oversee the team of heroes that he previously tried to litigate into the ground and attempted to murder a founding member multiple times. And what's that? Joaquin Torres is the new Falcon in this movie? Well, in the comics he's forcefully experimented on, but we can't have any of that here. He's a military man now, same as Sam, who again in the comics was never in the military. This movie looks like a gray, bland, unpainted wall and tastes like a recruitment ad. I weep for Sam Wilson and Anthony Mackie. Seriously, in a movie that was hyped up for almost 5 years, where he should finally have room to show off that he is the next Captain America, it instead buries him under a random villain that they decided to rewrite into a hero, constant over-explanation, clunky dialogue, a plot with an undying allegiance to a different character entirely, and no sense of life or intrigue. This movie isn't just a letdown, it let all of us down. It let down audiences that wanted to see the new Cap in action. It let down the character and lead actor who deserve a good film to showcase their ability. It It let down the people earnestly defending it from racist naysayers. It let down the supporting cast who had to be edited entirely out of the movie or called in for constant reshoots. It let down Captain America fans, Hulk fans, comic fans, and movie fans. When even the biggest ass-kissers of the MCU are claiming that this movie is downright confusing and poorly made, you have done something wrong and have publicly embarrassed yourself. When the reshoots are so painfully obvious and glaring that I can walk into a Regal Cinemas right now and pick up a Funko Pop of a character whose design is different than the movie, you have done something wrong and publicly embarrassed yourself.
There you go!
Just shut the fuck up!
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. Anyways, here's some good Captain America stories. Man Out of Time by Mark Waid, Captain America's issue 110 through 112 by Stan Lee, Captain America by Roger Stern, Captain America by Mark Greenwald, Captain America by Ta-Nehisi Coates, Sam Wilson Captain America, Captain America Symbol of Truth, and Captain America Sentinel of Liberty.
When Captain America throws his mighty shield, all those who chose to oppose his shield must yield.